think. It's the word, the sound
twittering.
of birds. Is it twittering or is it tittering? I think it's like...
Tittering.
It's tittering, yeah, because it's like... It's like birds that just go like... They have the little tiny sounds. And that's, ever since yesterday, this was not happening for the last 3.5 months. This is now mirth, merriment, joviality. There's also some melancholy there. You know, this is the 1-2 normal environment that we entered into. It was so interesting yesterday to witness how immediately after the nodes shifted, everyone walked into each other. Nobody had they all had their own individual direction. There was no collective direction. There was no synchronized direction. This wasn't a, 31 or, any sort of 713, any of that. This wasn't collective. Everyone just crashed into each other. All of the plans got mixed up. Nobody could find anyone. But there was a really fun giggle across the crowd of just everyone. I'm not talking about human design people. I'm talking about the thousands of people that were out swarming Santa Fe Plaza yesterday. And they just were all, they went from, oh yeah, I know. And it was so fun walking by. People were saying, do you know what this is? And it was almost like everyone's forehead was like this, and the nodes shifted, and they just went like, like they're suddenly like their kind of brain burger in the vice grip of the pressure, suddenly just went away. Because not a lot of people have defined head ajna. It's not that common, so you see it big time when it. Well, I guess this was ajna throat, so it was a little different. But still, it was still, because the ajna is not such an extremely, you could see like at least half, probably more, of the people out there. But then everyone just starts, oh my word, I saw the guy came out with a stroller, then had to pull it back really quick. The person put a chair in front of someone, and they kind of started falling over. Someone else got right in the way, started taking photos. Like, just kind of like, there's this thing that Von Paul hates. This is going to be the worst 3 months of his life, okay? Every 9 years, he has 3 months of hell, because what he can't stand more than anything is when he's walking around, people get in his way. He just wants to walk. He just wants to just go for a nice walk. But all these people step right in front of him and just start taking a photo of this is Santa Fe, so there's tourists everywhere. And, he can't stand it, and that's what we're in for. We couldn't make it 2 blocks to the bar as a group. Like, it was individual direction all the way. I'm going over here. Well, I'm going over here.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly what I did.
You're gonna go that way. I'm going this way. Yeah, no, literally, we immediately, all go our separate ways, and then we got lost and couldn't find anybody. And
we watched 2 ants. There was one just driving another one backwards.
Oh my god!
For like 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Ants.
I'm like, just one ant pushing another one backwards, and it's like, is he ever gonna figure out? Just not, just what's going on? We just stared at it for 10 freaking minutes.
This
is 2.
This was,
It was yesterday, yeah.
Wow. Well, anyway, it was really good. So everyone has their tone. So Ginny, take it away with Tone the Mood Setter.
Okay, cool. So if we're looking at the personality mind quadrant, and you look at the tone, 1 and 2 are success, 3 and 4 are respect, and 5 and 6 are feeling. And those are associated with the binaries, which are associated with the centers and the awareness centers. And so when we're looking at the personality mind side, this is the conceptualizations. This is your ideas. This is how you communicate. This is
talking. Definitely.
Yeah. And in contrary, the body design side, that's the physical. That's the body. Yeah. And how we're moving through the world.
Exerting energy on one side or the other. I've been exerting so much energy talking and exerting so much mental energy. To exert all that mental energy, I have a tonal underpinning of all of the mental energy I've been exerting. But I also exert physical energy. If I'm digging a ditch, I've been trying to get rid of this anthill, I'm doing all this physical stuff, I'm not thinking about it, I'm just exerting physical energy. And depending what tonal binaries you have, that's going to play out very differently. Like, I'm on different binaries on different sides.
Same.
And so I'm success in the design side, which we'll get to in a minute. I think we're starting on the personality side.
Yep.
But it's just to see, like, this is what puts you in a good mood. This is, and it really is. And it's not saying it's decision making. This is not about decision making. Your decision making is on the design side. So funny enough, your decision making can drag you kicking and screaming in a terrible mood to the right place.
Yes.
But if you know what puts you in a good mood, you can also go, I might make it a little bit easier if I appease my mind also,
And so with learning about all this stuff, I think the biggest gift it gave me was even more acceptance of myself. Like, on the mind side, I am tone 3, which is respect. The Ajna binary, respect, it cares what other people think. It wants people to respect them, wants to respect their ideas, what they have to say, and also feels disrespect too. So you can feel respect or not, right? And so like it gave me acceptance of like, you know, they say like, oh, don't care what anyone thinks, like whatever, you know. But I'm like, oh no, I'm actually designed to care because that helps influence, you know, the rest of myself to know what to transmit to the tribe, what people want, all that stuff. I know when I heard this, it really made a lot of sense because I don't know if you all have this sense of feeling when like there's that a good mood, like you can almost feel like the chemicals being released, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I say like I make a journey around the wheel card and I post it, and so like I get like 3 amazing comments. You're like, oh my god, that's so good. You know, I can feel myself go, like, you know, oh, like I'm feeling the respect. Yay. You know, some people don't give a shit about that, you know, like they don't care if someone likes what they're doing or not. If your success, like that's more the splenic, where it's the drive to win, it's the drive to, you know, kind of be the best, or
even getting one over. Like I like Von Paul has success mind, and so he's 1 and 2. So who here is 1 and 2? Casey. Okay.
On tone?
Saying on
the
Yeah.
personality.
On personality side.
Yeah.
personality side.
I got 1.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so y'all okay.
Not you.
How many
You
do we
respect. Melanie.
Melanie, that's right. Got it. Yeah, just making sure. Okay, so all of you have minds that I think would really benefit. This is not decision making. None of this is decision making. Decision making is on the design side, but this is just giving the mind something to do. This is a mind that would benefit from being able to compete regularly and beat other people, like strategically. This is left variable. This is let's beat them. Let's get one over on them. Von Paul, left variable. He's tone 1 or 2. He has this success mind where I brought him some mezcal. I came back a minute later and he goes, spilled it. And so I poured a little more and he goes, sucker. Like, that is success mind. It's like I can get one over on you. I can strategize to get a free shot out of this. I can, like I don't care, right? I mean, this is what he does. This is a mind that's here to kind of figure out how to win and figure out how to strategize.
Yeah. And another interesting, because the tone is what creates the variable of left or right. So if you're right variable personality, you're not going to be success. It's impossible. You're gonna be respect or feeling.
And if you're left variable, you're respect or success.
Yep.
So we see that there is this sort of switch hitter wiggle room between the 3 and 4 of them both being respect, even though one is left and one is right. And that's another interesting piece of it.
Cool. And then when we get to 5 and 6, feeling, these are the kind of people that like it doesn't matter what people think or if they win. They just want to feel good. They want to have a good mood set. Like they want to just be chilling, or I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be passive. It can be, going on a hike or something. And
it can
like
be making things feel better.
Good.
It can feel good to make things feel better. But what Steve Rhodes said in particular is that it usually doesn't feel good to work out really hard. So they don't usually want to do that. It doesn't really feel good. And again, these are on the personality or the design side. So you can see if you have success on the mind side, like Von, he will endlessly do things with his mind that don't feel good. He'll make his mind go through all of the different contortions, whatever. But his body is feeling. His design side is feeling, so he's very uncomfortable when he's physically uncomfortable. Whereas we're body success people, so we can be really physically uncomfortable. And it doesn't put us in a bad mood. We can kind of...
Like I want to rip up all the weeds out of the yard,
Yeah, and just go and just tear them out. It doesn't feel good.
When
you
they're
get covered
gone,
in
like
shit.
that feels like successful. Like I did a good job. I got it, and it's like wipe the sweat off my brow. Whatever. It was worth it.
And they all help each other. I mean, it's just like different. It's a division of labor. That's all it really is. I mean, they all really help each other. The right variable cannot survive on its own. And it needs the success people for survival. But the success on its own isn't really the point. It used to be the point. It used to be becoming the apex predator. Now that we became the apex predator, the left variable is becoming less and less and less differentiated. Think about how differentiated the left variable was 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, where you have Alhambra being built and in crazy little detail and all these things where the left variable really shone. That was its time to shine. it's not a time to shine anymore. Now it's just kind of boring, and the right variable is really cool and has all the interesting stuff going on, and there's all the things happening, and the feeling binary is not really happening in the success binary anymore. Success binary is kind of just like dinosaurs, like Martin Shkreli. He's probably a quad success person. What do you discover when you look at this system is that you have people who are mentally driven to succeed, using their mind, physically driven to succeed, working long hours, doing whatever it takes, you know, and then they have nodes, which is what we're drawn to, and they also have double success there, and you go, these are people who not only, and the nodes are what we aspire to, they're not only super cutthroat, reptile, killer instinct competitors, but they're also like striving to be even more reptilian competitive. And Martin Shkreli comes along and buys up some medicine and jacks up the price 9,000%. And him and all his success buddies go, good job, man. But who cares what anyone thinks, right? Because it doesn't have respect. It doesn't have respect at all. Because respect is what cares what people think. Respect cares about getting canceled. Respect cares about getting rejected by other people because it did something that's distasteful to them or that they don't like. And it's not success though. Success cares about winning. Success cares about FU money. FU money is success. Respect doesn't want FU money because it wouldn't say FU anyway. If it had the money, it would just buy a bunch of stuff to curry favor with people. Look at all the nice things this person gets me. Wow, I really like them. That's respect. That's respect. They're the ones who,
Yeah, and if you look at it like from almost like a gradient, like 1 to 6, it's the most left to the most right. And you look at our actual history when this is just my own interest, the past, left is like you had to compete, you had to do all those things to survive. And then as we move to the right, the feeling good, the solar plexus, that's where the depth of the future is now, and so I think that's a really interesting thing to think about with time and the variables. So
it's really beautiful. Let's see if there's any success bodies.
Yeah, let's do the body side. Okay, who has 1 or 2 success body?
Okay, so this was something interesting for me with success bodies. You are double success.
Yeah.
So this is something that's really
But
interesting.
I don't resonate with any of this competitive
It's
stuff.
okay. This is Steve Rhodes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not. He doesn't necessarily make it sound good. It's also, this is the cognitive architecture that, if anything, we decondition into and we let it out. It's do you have a defined ego or undefined ego?
Defined ego.
You have defined ego. Okay, so for you it'll be a little different. I have an undefined ego, and I'm coming on 7 years in the experiment. I think that a lot of what I'd attributed to the defined ego, I'm now realizing is also the tonal architecture, because the touchiness of the undefined ego went away, but the super killer instinct, success-driven, splenic binary that will win at any cost. And of course, we in human design are not going to resonate with the archetype that I use for the regular world. Just like I was saying earlier, the predator of the Wa in human design is really the one who's going to prey upon those who are in the not self to try to steal away their pleasure and complaining about not self crap or whatever. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to steal each other's wallets here. Like there's metaphor. The metaphor repeats, but it repeats at a fractal level. And so, of the people that I know that are success, I don't think they're the ones who would heartlessly and so on. But say they have undefined solar plexus, they have to decondition from their fear of what people would think if they heartlessly jacked up the prices of some medicine or something, right? And I'm not saying that they should do this because that's the 7-centered. We are 9-centered beings, and we are in this Pluto interregnum, and that the tones 1 and 2 are going to come out different for the people that are in human design, that are on this fractal, that are closer to this mutative core, and they're going to come out very different for people that are 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, thousands of places removed from the fractal, getting photocopies of the story. And the photocopy of the story is, you'll be happy if you get XYZ in there. They happen to be success, and But I guess what I'm trying to say is, there's plenty of people out there who are double success and have all 9 centers defined. They don't really have a lot of not-self themes that like we know them, who have open centers and have openness and have to deal with all that. And they're just going to go along and pretty much, they might be some unstoppable force of success nature. But for the rest of us, we're going to have so many layers of conditioning that actually takes out that killer instinct. Because we have to trust we're not going to apply that to hurting each other. We're not going to apply that to stealing from each other. We're not going to apply that to the vicious 7-centered way. We have to almost trust and really believe and have faith we truly are 9-centered. Because practicing your strategy and authority means not making a mental decision. Well, the mind is what can keep you from doing really bad stuff. You know what I mean? And when you trust yourself to actually make that decision, you're taking a leap that you're not really a bad person. You're taking a leap that you're not secretly deep down, going to take advantage of people and do all these things. And so when you trust your cognitive architecture, and it is double success, and it does have this left as left can be, competitive as competitive can be, wants to be number one. The way I've been saying it is, wanting to have 10 possible partners, because what if 9 died in a ice storm or were eaten by saber-toothed tigers? Is wanting to have extras around in case something happens. This is success. Doesn't give a shit what people think. It wants to, yeah, exactly. You want to really and have more than enough money and have more than enough power and comfort and all of these things, because that is what success is driven to do.
And what about goals? Like, do you feel like you are a goal-oriented type of person?
I mean,
we got some nods behind you.
Yes, ma'am. I guess I don't really. But see, also on my nose, I'm 6 and 5, so maybe that's like.
Well, and that's what you're striving for, and what you
Me
wish
too.
you are,
Yeah.
and we want to not get lost in the notes, because there's this whole thing that you can see yourself. I actually think if you read everybody's notes to them as their sun earths, they would agree. But if you read the sun earths, because this is the idealized thing you want to be.
But I want to be.
This is who
That's
you
what
are.
it is.
Yeah, and it's also what we
And
like.
I'm
For
the same.
instance,
Yeah.
we are not drawn to each other. We all have feeling in our nodes. We're drawn to Eduardo, but we can get along because we have success, and we're like, we're kind of like no like, game no game, and we have this kind of success, like appreciation of each other.
Yeah.
But we actually like Eduardo, and we wish we were more laid back and less.
Totally.
driven
I
for,
want to be like Eduardo.
Yeah, he has a prototype.
5'1", right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
He's also a 5, so.
Striving to be. Oh
Yeah,
striving
I
to
think
be successful.
that brings up a great point and a good segue to move down to to the nodes. And so, similar to you, like left across the top. So I'm respect success, but I'm attracted to feeling, and I see myself can get lost in that. Like I see myself being like, I just want to smoke weed all day, watch movies.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Like, go on a walk, But really, what's gonna bring me well-being and like
True happiness.
true happiness
Put you in a really good mood.
is to have success in my body, to work out or do something productive around the house, do my laundry, and to
That's so true.
exchange
too.
my
Yeah.
exchange my ideas with people with my respect mind.
Yeah, like for you, so here's a great example. So for Casey, the best thing for you would be to do human design readings, and I want to like have respect mind people like James Alexander. He's respect mind, and they love basically to do human design readings is to prostitute yourself. And for respect mind people, it's really hard to do. Success mind, no
Respect
problem.
mind?
No, what's that?
James, not respect
No,
mind.
he's success. He said it's really hard to do for respect mind people. And for success mind, no problem.
Ah.
And this is how, no, he loves it. He can just bring him on, gangbang. I'm sorry, I canceled this, but that's what it's like with James. He's like, human design, he's like, and you have a 7th, and he goes to the next one, and you have a, and it's just, sorry, this is going to get in so much trouble after this. My mom's next to me, I'm so sorry. So sorry I had to hear that. But that's what it's like. That's what, no, I mean, it's like, the success mind is like, give me all the money. Money. Oh, you got money? Oh, you want some money? Okay, yeah, money. And like, that makes them so happy, and they're in such a good mood. They're just cleaning up. Reading for you. Bank account. Cha-ching. I hate it. I am miserable in that situation. I get in such a bad mood. I get in a foul mood when I have to work. I have a success body. That's also my authority. It drags me kicking and screaming into doing readings for people. They pick up that I'm in a bad mood, and they're like, hey man, I'm sorry, but I don't know what I did to offend you. And I've had that happen a couple times, and they're like, you didn't do anything to offend me. I need the money. I have a success fucking body that needs to get cash money, and my mind wants respect, and I feel totally disrespected by these absolutely idiotic questions. No. I mean, no one's done that in a long time. It's been a long
We're getting
time.
really real now.
If you've got a reading for me in the past 5 years, this is not about you. This is what I'm saying. This was not. And the one that I was in a bad mood a couple years ago, and I felt so bad because, and now we're friends. The guy sent me extra money because he did send me, and his questions were not idiotic. They were actually so cool. And this guy sends me the most insane questions I've ever seen, but they're like brilliant insane, like, genius. Like, this guy really is like so deep in his experiment. And what's funny is 6 months go by after the reading, and I find this incredible thing on our human design. Have you guys seen the Magic Square?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Magic Square post. So Mike goes, oh yeah, because it's like famous. It's like top post of all time status now. Like, that's when I say insane, like in a loving way. I invited him to come here. I wish you would, but it's just really like really bizarre out there stuff. And then I didn't know this was him. I sent it to him. I was like, you got to check out this guy. You found like your other dude, man. He's like, no, that's me. That's me. Sorry, I'm rings of Jupiter or whatever it is. You know? But anyway, yeah, I guess my point is just I don't have success on the mind side, so I don't like getting paid to use my mind. I like using my mind for things that bring respect, which respect is a funny word for it, but it really is also about things that stimulate the ajna, things that are stimulating to the ajna, that are exciting to the ajna. And as I've deconditioned, I've lost my fear of being humiliated. Anyone with an undefined ajna here, regardless of your ego, is going to have a very like intense fear of being humiliated in a way that some people disassociate with the ego, but it's almost like it's like the brain's ego, it's like the mind's ego. It's like the second little ego up here that says, I want to prove that I know, and I don't want anyone to ever, challenge my knowing, and I'll prove to you how much I know, blah 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 blah. And it's
43.
Yeah.
It's like the little mind ego,
Yeah,
That's what the
and
ajna
also
is.
connected with that I thought was really awesome was understanding. So the ajna binary is like with understanding. So when
you feel understood.
When you feel understood.
When people make an effort to understand you, when they go out of
that's
their
so
way.
important.
And if somebody's
I feel
like
respected when someone wants to understand where I'm coming
and when somebody
from.
doesn't understand me, doesn't even try to
feelings
understand
and
me, I
feelings.
just feel it puts me in such a bad mood. And it still might be correct for me because I'm not making a decision based on that. I'm putting up with it and I'm going, oh, that sucks. But my
makes so
then
much sense.
design side is what's actually making the decision to go somewhere or do something else, whatever. It might be like, no, you need to be here. There's a success reason to be here, right? So it's the success versus respect. Now, even going back to the left, what was the story of the left if not the movement from success to respect? Because success says you can't trust anyone but yourself. You just got to get it. And I'm talking about seven-centered success again. You're like, I don't resonate with this. I'm like, well, as you decondition, I'm not going to say that you're ever going to. As you decondition, you'll have to continually trust that you can lean into that leftness and cold-bloodedness as much as possible, and that you won't use it for the powers of evil. You'll use it for the powers of good. You'll use your powers for good, is what I'm trying to say. And you have to kind of take that leap of faith because your strategy and authority gets to choose for you. And you have to really trust that you're not going to be a bad person when you let your mind, stop making, or make your mind stop making decisions. Because it's the thing that's keeping you in what you think the good person is supposed to be. And so it's making all the decisions because that's what a good person would do. And I have an undefined solar plexus. I don't want to hurt their feelings. And I have undefined spleen. I have a million excuses why I won't let go of this thing that's hurting me and all this stuff. So we all know the not-self game.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it all ties in because these are the binaries. So for me as an undefined ajna, part of the reward of the deconditioning of the ajna is the ability to enjoy the fruits of the ajna cleanly without, it getting in the way. And so, and especially because of the respect, it kind of pinpoints the ajna as a very special thing for my personality.
Yeah. Another interesting thing, I think this is more a tidbit, like if you're interested, you can think about it yourself. But the tonal names and how they can, or even just like the number and how that connects to those things. Like, so for example, a third tone, and so that's action. And then on the other side, fourth is meditation. And so it's kind of cool just to make those connections. Like, what is it about, like jumping to action, knowing the right thing to I don't know where I'm
Well,
going.
no, you're just basically saying that the ajna, so the other thing is like, Steve Rhodes, for instance, found that people with the ajna binary are often actors. And there is this and action of jumping on stage. And so we have ajna binary, anyone with ajna, with tone 3 or 4 on the personality or design. Now, Sean is an actual actor, and he doesn't have either of those. But I think that for him, his acting is about different values like authenticity and the feeling binary, for instance. Because feeling is not just pure hedonism. That doesn't actually feel good after a while. You might have to, like you were saying, you might have to go there and see that it doesn't feel good and take the leap and find out what you really are made of when the mind stops doing it, and you get to see what happens when the body, and it might say, oh, let's see what this does, and let's see what, and it finds out, no, that's actually it feels good to be authentic, to be true to yourself feels really good. That's what the feeling binary is about. The solar plexus is truth. The undefined solar plexus is avoiding truth, and the defined solar plexus is here to speak the truth. So, these are all kind of tying in, and if you have feeling placements in your sun earths, it's going to be very important to you. The solar plexus will be important. You have an undefined solar plexus, but you have feeling. Well, that's going to pull you in. Same for you. You both have undefined solar plexus. That's going to still make the solar plexus more important to you in some sense, in your wisdom about it. And the reward you get for deconditioning, the more truth you confront, the more you become wise about when and how and what's the right timing to confront. And you don't do it like I did yesterday at the absolute worst possible time in the Night Sitters healing panel. But you find the right time to confront, and as you become wise about that, it totally frees up the solar plexus to watch life, and then you start to see it in the tonal cognition of feeling comes through. And this is like, I always say, your cognitive superpowers, right? So that kind of starts to come through as you decondition those centers in some sense as well, because those centers are also muddying up the ability of that cognition to really thrive.
Yeah.
So
All right, I think we should move up a level to color. And so what color is, where tone is the mood setter, color is this resilience level or confidence level. So, and that's more of a gradient here. So 1 and 2 is low confidence, low resilience, aka the pessimist. And 3 and 4 is medium, aka the realist. And 5 and 6 is high resilience, high confidence, and that is the optimist. And so this was a huge part that gave me so much acceptance, because on the mind side, I'm low resilience. I can't tell you the amount of times that, like, you know, I've gotten my feelings hurt because someone disagreed with me. You know, like my tears start coming in my eyes, and I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, why can't I keep it together, you know? But it's because I'm so sensitive there. I do have vulnerabilities in those areas, and so when you have low resilience, they say it's better to, like, you know, be a little more protective of the people around you. Be more selective, you know, about who, you know, is gonna influence you or give you that, you know, the feedback. And then on the mind side, you know, I mean the body side, you have resilience too. So so resilience on the mind side is like the conceptualization, ideas,
speaking,
often.
remembering someone criticizing you for forgetting something. If you have low resilience in the mind side, you get your feelings hurt. If you have higher resilience, medium or high, it's kind of like, yeah, I forgot. What's the big deal? You know. But it's like, you forgot, and then it's like, oh no, I forgot. My mind messed up. My mind did something bad, and it's just like, it just completely.
The high resilience is like, I've been saying, like, water off a duck's back. You know, it's like whatever. You know.
Yeah, they have other problems.
I don't care if you don't like my shoes.
I mean, their problem, well, what was it? We were talking earlier with Amber, who's here, Amber Scott, and she's double high resilience, and she was saying, so she's saying that the car was going to break down maybe, or she wasn't sure it was going to break down, and I was like, yeah, but was that a problem? No, because if it broke down, we'll just fix it, and if we don't get to go to the festival, we'll go somewhere else. If we can't camp here, we'll just camp there. It's like high optimism as well, and high confidence, and just kind of like very optimistically saying, well, it's going to be fine. Who cares? It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Oh yeah, that was messed up. What's for dinner? It's, you know, it's like this really like just moving on through things, but they have different problems, and so their problem is that they can be hurtful to others. It's like the high resilience can be hurtful, and also different problems they're trying to think of. The low resilience is like, what could go wrong? And the high resilience is like, I could be bored. Steve Rhodes found that high resilience bodies were like stunt drivers and Evel Knievel and Johnny Knoxville and these people who are doing jackass stuff, because they're just so bored with like doing normal things. They need the thrill of putting their high resilience body through some torturous kind of thing that would make the low resilience, you know, squirm.
And it's interesting because all transitional profiles are going to be high resilience mind, low resilience body.
That's true.
That's
Every
just
single
the way
one.
it is.
And it's highest and lowest too, in a sense, with appetite, which is really an extreme. So for Steve Rhodes, himself a transitional profile, 6'3", he says he doesn't have a lot of photos of him online. He only has like maybe 2 photos, 1 or 2 photos. He's like asked to have all others removed. He has no internet presence whatsoever except his highly, highly staged internet presence, because there's this real need to kind of manage the image that is shown, because he'll be so hurt if someone criticizes seeing him in a sort of informal, not staged setting and all this stuff. And so he manages that perfectly for the body. Now the mind, he doesn't care. He's gonna talk to anyone about anything and say anything, and anyone can have any opinion. He doesn't get his feelings hurt. He's gonna hurt your feelings by saying, I think that's a wrong idea. And I'm pretty sure it was him, was posting on my YouTube as other number one, which is just like, come on, it's like your other account, the alt account. So, and he's on YouTube, and the reason I think it's him is he's like, actually when Steven met such and such, and when he met Ra in 2004, he was at that time, blah, 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 and he was working with Beaumont on such and such, and actually to correct you, and then he says, and just a side note, I don't think it's appropriate to mix systems at all. He has his own system that should really be respected as a system on its own without bringing human design into it. So why not talk about his system as it is? And they're like, it's like other one, and I look at the like post, like account history and stuff, and there's like nothing. I'm like, okay. So, but no, I mean, I've been blowing him up. I've sold like single-handedly like hundreds of copies of his book.
Where's your affiliate link?
Yeah, exactly. Amazon affiliate. Success. Oh my God! I want to bring Steve out here next year to do this in person with him. His creation. That would be so wild. Except he's low resilience.
What's his type?
He's a 6'3". But see, he's just yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he also
Darn.
he doesn't believe in type. Go figure. But anyway, interesting guy. But he doesn't believe in strategy and authority or
Jonah, so another interesting thing that you've talked about is so when you look at, like on the mind side, you know, the color is our motivation. So I am hope motivation, low resilience. My transference is guilt, high resilience.
Yeah, and so a hope person who transfers to guilt will try to fix it, but you have to be tough and thick-skinned. It's not like they suddenly get high resilience when they transfer. They keep their low resilience with them, and then they get really hurt when they're in their guilt because they're trying to fix it and they're getting crucified, and people are complaining at them and they can't take the wounding of it. So they're interesting. But it also, the lens of pessimism versus realism versus optimism is really incredible because hope is meant to be pessimistic. When a guilt person transfers to hope, they take their optimism with them. So they're the overly optimistic hoper who says, I hope he'll quit drinking. I hope I'll just buy one more ticket and this will be the winning ticket. And you know, they're overly optimistic about things changing, and they're overly optimistic about things that won't change. They say it'll never change, that'll never happen, and then pretty soon it does, and they're not prepared because they're transferred from their. So you remain optimistic, you remain pessimistic, you remain resilient, you remain less resilient. And less resilient, by the way, just means less likely to hurt other people, less likely to injure other people, and it means more sensitive. There's many advantages as well. What Steve Rhodes said is basically the advantages come out when you stop taking the advice to get out there more. His whole life he heard, get out there more, get out there more, get out there more. It might take him a year to get over a relationship somebody else gets over in 2 weeks because he's low resilience on his body, and the body keeps things in it for a long time, and it remembers touch, and it remembers intimacy, and it remembers all this. And high resilience can just move on, and low resilience can't, you know, and all these things. So he's saying that for him, having less lovers throughout his life, less people in his life, less best friends, less community out there, just having a smaller, more selective, more familiar, safer, more, you know, just having that core group was so important for his low resilience body. Now his mind needs stimulation. Its fear is not that it'll be wrong, its fear is that it'll be bored. Right. It's a very different fear, right? So it's like hoping that something can actually excite it. And so it's like the Johnny Knoxville of minds that's going out there trying to do, and that's why he's like making his own system and doing all his research. And yeah, I mean, he has a pretty good chart library. One thing I like is that Genetic Matrix has tens of thousands of charts, and so people do look at these en masse, but they oftentimes are not Rodden rated very highly. Steve Rhodes actually said he had around 2,000 charts that were AA rated, that he spent a lot of time with, in particular, beyond the other charts he looked at. And those were so specific that he could trust the tonal information. For instance, we have very accurate time for Tom Cruise. He's double respect. And he always plays these double respect people where he exudes respect. And what it is the respect person is like the person who's put in a good mood by walking in the cafe and everyone knows their name. I'm respect mind, so I have that. You know, Jenny's respect mind. You're respect mind, aren't you? Didn't we talk about this? Yeah. So tone 3 or 4. And so any respect, like your respect body, you like it too. Mike, who was the DJ last night, he is double respect. He loves it. You know, but something really beautiful to bring it back to the color level that Steve Rhodes said is that the color is where we get traumatized. It's where we get hurt. It's where we get wounded. And when we're wounded, the tone can't come through. And then we're in a bad mood. Then we're not happy. Then our kind of tonal gift is not shining because the color has been injured in some way or wounded in some way. And I mean, I guess you would say then don't the resilient ones have an advantage? Do their tones come through? No, they don't, because they have their own unique advantage and disadvantage. They need the excitement. They need something different. They need to have those high resilience experiences because the normal world is not enough for them. You know, that's now one last final point on this one. When you look at it as pessimist, realist, optimist, when you realize that the complete lack of color in the world is the sixth color. Everything else colors how we see it. Rose colored, this color, that color, you know, desire colored by desire, colored by hope. But the sixth color doesn't color at all. Well, that's optimist. So it's funny, you realize that the world actually is optimistic and that realism is a colored lens that is imposed over the blankness of the world, which is fundamentally optimistic. It's kind of a nice thought. It's fundamentally resilient. The world is resilient. The world doesn't get... Isn't that so
trippy.
great? You see what I'm saying?
Because I can
Think
see
about
it both
that,
with you and
But I
Amber.
love it because the world's resilient. The world can take care of
Is your
itself. It's going
sixth
to come
color?
back. It's going to bounce back the same way
Oh.
any sixth color bounces back and just keeps
My
going.
colors are 5.
So, yeah, so you have high
fifth color.
resilience as well.
Yeah.
So.
I'm thinking of somebody else then.
All right. So, as the sun is creeping over here, I want to get to the line level, and this is also really freaking crazy, awesome. The line level is there's like kind of two tracks that work together. There's reactivity, and then there is a kind of an ability to like gradient from response to initiating.
Well, he calls it reactivity too. So, but you could say like you can think of it in terms of like purely reactive. Like some are just really unreactive, like implacable. But then the other side of it, of being implacable, is the ability to initiate in some sense.
Right.
And this would be really interesting to hear from manifestors who have initiating decision making that has a huge impact on the world, because what Rhodes says is that lines 5 and 6 initiate, and that they initiate either mentally or physically. But it's totally different than the decision making of the manifestor, and it doesn't necessarily have an impact if you're not a manifestor.
I've been wondering about
you can
that.
initiate all day long. It's like, is there a fly? You know what I mean? But a manifestor initiates, there's an impact.
That
Because
makes so much
you have the sense of the timing and how to deliver it. It could even be speaking really quietly and saying, hey, excuse me, can you do this? And the manifestor has an impact. It's not about making a big show.
A good example would be like how, so the 5th and 6th lines is like the general and the administrator. So they need to keep a, cool
Implacable appearance.
face,
even if they're generators.
because
even if they're
something comes and it's like
projectors.
troops are coming over the corner. It's like you can't be really reactive. You have to keep it together.
Yeah, you can't be like, oh shit, I'm running, run away. You know.
And be able to quickly think of the way, initiating the way,
Yeah, even changing the subject.
But it's still in response,
Well, it can still be in
For a
response,
generator,
or there's just no response because there's no decision being made. So the example would be if I'm in a conversation, I've already made the decision. Do you want to have a conversation with me or not? I mean, I hate the or not, but do you want to have a conversation with me? So I do. At that point, I'm sitting with them having the conversation. I can't leave. I'm locked in. As a generator, it's initiating for me to leave. So I'm just like, I can want to leave, but I just can't until something else comes along and something frees me from it. So I'm just with them, and usually it's fine, and we're talking, but they're telling me things as a fifth line personality. I'm initiating with my mind, interrupting, saying, no, hold up. Go back. You're making a huge assumption here. That's initiating, right? That's saying, what about this? Okay, wait, I'm tired of this game. Let's do a new game. Let's change the scene. Let's do this. Now, the thing is, then my mind starts to initiate and say, hey, it'd be fun. Let's do this. And then they say, okay, let's do it. And then I don't move. And they're like, well, do you want to? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, do you want to? I'm like, not really. I thought it up, but I don't actually want to do it. I'm just sitting there. I can't move. I'm trying to move and I can't. I'm like, why am my mind is going, let's do this, let's do that. How many times have I said, let's have a really romantic night? But my mind is ready for it.
I'll put flowers on the bed.
Okay, but what Steve Rhodes says, what Steve Rhodes says, that I tell her and I don't actually do it. So what Steve Rhodes says though is the 3-5, the 3-6, and the 4-6 are the kind of the most popular in terms of romance because they combine an opportunistic mind. The 3rd and 4th line he calls both opportunistic, either opportunity and reaction of bumping into, or opportunity and initiating at the right time, kind of lying in wait to initiate it in the case of the 4th line, and they bump into, but then their bodies are 5th and 6th line. And these are what he calls initiating bodies that make the move. How many 5-1s have laid next to other 5-1s, most seductive mind in the world? They have you in the palm of your hands, you have them in the palm of your hands, you both seduced each other, and there is nothing going on because you have first line bodies. The first line body cannot physically start something if it been wanted to. And then meanwhile, I look at first line manifestors, like first line mind, for instance, like Alok. Most reactive manifesto. He's like, what? How could that be? No, he's completely he seems like he's having a response of some kind. He's actually just reacting. He's hugely reactive. It's like a live wire, like the tiniest little poke, and he just, explodes on you. Whereas, we're 5th line personalities. Whoever pokes me, we just look at them and go, We do it again. We just keep looking at them, and we go, get this person out. This person needs to go. And we like talk to our, assistant person to make sure that's how fifth line handles this. So it's very different. We don't have the activity that we show when somebody comes up and annoys us. We just get
So to go back for fifth and sixth lines, first and second lines is the most reactive. And so they're here to
now I understand and accept it so much more. Instead of being like, don't be so reactive, Mom. I'm like, okay. She's a 1-3, so. She's a real live wire, you could say.
Wow. The reactive is in the body, though. But
no.
Well, it's just wherever it is. She has a reactive mind, but she has a less reactive body. I have a super reactive body. You're a 5-1 as well. We have reactive bodies, so we're the most implacable. And then I trip and fall, and my elbow starts clicking, and I go, oh my God, it's gonna click the rest of my life. I like freak out. I have days of like sorrow, like sitting in my room, just being like, what am I gonna do? And, like I'm fine. I've like actually forgotten about it, then it just goes on. My life goes on. That's the story of having a reactive body. Like you go from like the worst. Like Mike is 6'2". You go from like the worst physical ailments in the world to just like having completely forgotten about it. But but it gives me comfort because with Jenny, she can have a big reaction to something, and I used to make a big deal about it because if I had that big of a reaction, it's like the world is ending or something. But for her to have that big of a reaction, it's a really tiny little thing. But then it also goes away really quickly. It goes away so quickly that I just have to now that I know she's going to have that reaction, we just talk through it and process it. But I don't necessarily need the processing in that same way. I need it at the physical level. Something happens physically, and I have a huge reaction. I need aftercare. I need things that are kind of going to keep and manage and kind of make sure I know it's okay. At a physical level. Which is because I'm having a really reactive, whether it's health issues or whether it's relationship or anything.
Yeah, so on the mind side, like having that aftercare for like if you have like a big fight or a disagreement or something, like it does take me like a little bit because I have like it's like almost like throwing a rock in a pond. I'm like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, why are we like whatever it is, but it like settles down, and it's always good to come back and be like after the reaction is.
And if I do some action, like if I apologize, for instance, it makes a huge reaction too. Or if I do some further action, it also causes the next chapter of the story to react. Whereas
you just gotta pull out.
For a fifth line, what's that?
Do you just pull out and step away sometimes before to not keep it going?
But then I take another action to kind of make it better, and I come back with flowers or whatever. But my point is, for a fifth line, it's always kind of a trick. Especially if you have an undefined solar plexus. In your fifth line, you're kind of tricking others into thinking that you go, oh my, it's such a fake reaction. We're not reactive people, we're oh, what a wow, it's like it sounds so big, but we're trying to put on this big show. I'm reactive.
Oh well.
I get Mike something. I'm like, Mike, I got this for you. Oh, thank you. Wow. Remind
such a Mike
to,
response.
Say something about it.
Okay, so we don't want to leave out third and fourth lines, which are right in the middle. They're sandwiched, and it's the opportunist. So you have the responsive, the responder, the opportunist, and the initiator. So
or kind of reactive too. Yeah.
Reactive, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean it's the same kind of dichotomy. It's the same dichotomy basically between yin and yang.
Yeah, sometimes the words get a little like.
And he uses these words, kind of knowing how important they are in human design for strategy and authority. He doesn't. He's innocent. He's high resilience. He doesn't care. He just uses words. He just takes the crayon to the body graph and just, that. And he's happy. That's all. Anyway.
Yeah. So the opportunists, 3 and 4, they're kind of the fence sitters. Like they're waiting for the opportunity to kind of fall on either side.
Well, and the fourth especially is waiting. Like I always think like the 4-6 is the one who sees. This is something Ra would say. They see the perfect relationship. They befriend them. They have all these. They see all the couples. Finally, they're coming off the roof in their 50s, and they're going, "I'll take that one." Like I've known them for 20 years. That's a good partner. I've seen that they've been a good partner to this other person. So I've befriended them. I'll take them now for myself. And that's really they've waited to initiate into this new. Waited to pounce. The third line he also calls opportunist, which of course in human design is not martyr in other words, but it's the opportunistic in the sense that it's a reactive opportunist that doesn't plan anything. It just bumps into it, goes, oh well, why not? Why not? Let's do it. Yeah, here it is. Let's go. Okay. So it just takes the opportunity of what bumps into it. Actually, James Alexander is the one who unlocked that for me because I said, why would he say the third line is an opportunist? He said, well, they are. They just kind of they just don't like wait for the right thing to do the opportunity. They just kind of like do the opportunity of whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that man's in town, let's go. You know, it's
It's a
kind of
trial
just
and error.
like it bumped into me. Like it bumped into my field. Let's do it. So it's a funny way to look at it. So, any other parting shots?
Well, I think that covers like the framework of it, and it's just so interesting, and you can just start making these connections between the human design language and this stuff, and it, I don't know, for me it just really clicks, and it helps my depth even more. So.
Well, and just one last thing, maybe if you could just speak on the nodes and just kind of how that plays in. So that's what we're drawn to. And
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, you know, going down to the nodes is, you know, like kind of touched on that earlier, like that I'm very much attracted to the tone 5 and 6, the feeling type. Like, I love being around people who are like, you know, let's go to a music festival and like let's just chill out, or like let's go have a happy hour, you know, like whatever. Like I'm attracted to that,
and they're good singers.
And they come into my life.
Steve Rhodes found that a lot of singers who are known for really emotional singing and carrying a lot of emotional content had tone 5 or 6 on the body side, on the design side.
Yeah, and so for
the
color,
notes and the design.
Just for the designers.
Okay.
But for the nodes, it's kind of what you're drawn to as well. But yeah, we're just saying like she's drawn to people like that who have.
You said for tone?
Quality.
Yeah, and
I don't, but I got 30.2.
Well, it's the nodes are what you're attracted to. At the tonal level, it's what.
So it's recognition of
Are
emotion.
you drawn to like success-driven people? Are you drawn to like really widely respected people who command respect everywhere they go? Everyone knows their name and they're much beloved in the community. Or are you drawn to feeling people who just want to feel good, but they might be like underachievers and kind of just live in their parents' basement and not really have a job, but like they just like
explains everything.
Oh my God! You're their sugar mama, right? That's you know what's funny is I had a double success person with feeling nodes tell me that she was like, if I could go to the human design conference, I could meet a sugar daddy. I said, first of all, there's no men in human design. There's like 5 of us.
Oh my God.
I might be a sugar mama, but not a sugar daddy. But then second, I said, plus you have feeling in the nodes. You're the sugar mama. You're the one who takes care of them. You're drawn to the feeling people, you know. And the best would be a feeling person who has success in the nodes. And they need to like learn. They need to learn that they don't need to be more successful. They just need to be with someone who's more successful, right? Or be around people who have that success. That we all have our roles to play, and the role is in your sun earth. You're not meant to play out the role of your nodes. It's just like what I've been saying. I mean, I'm sorry if you've been hearing it. I think I said it again this morning, but I have 45 in my nodes. There's a lot of 45-21s around. It makes me really happy to have 45-21s around because that's a great signpost. And I have compromised with them, so I just say, you handle it, hands off, and let them handle all this stuff. And it's so wonderful to like give them a platform. Like it's my environment. It's what I like. I'm drawn to 45s. I like 45s. You know, I'm drawn to what is my notes, whether it's at gate level, the line level, the color level, or the tone level, or even the bass level. My nodes are bass 5, and Jimmy's a bass 5. So, you know, and her sun earth. So you can start to see these. My nodes on the, I have personality 45, but I have design 12. Ginny's personality sun is 12. So you start to see these nodal connections. So.
Okay, so and then color is like, you know, you're more attracted to. So I do not have 5th or 6th color. So sometimes I think those high resilience people are really annoying, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why does that not bother you? And then, do you have anything to say?
Oh yeah, just that's what we're drawn to. Are we drawn to pessimists? Are we drawn to, you know, I have, like James Alexander, we both have color 1 personality nodes, so we're drawn to really pessimistic people who just are expecting everything to go wrong and just think that, you know, nothing's going to work, and also they're really fragile and they need our help because they're low resilience, and we're both, he's high resilience, can you tell? He's double high resilience. You know, his voice, his booming voice echoing with his high resilience. I'm double medium resilience. And so, but we are both kind of drawn to low resilience people, and we wish that we spoke quieter, and we wish that we were more gentle with people and that we didn't hurt their feelings. And it really bothers me when I hurt somebody's feelings, right? Because then I have this low resilience node, so I'm trying to be more sensitive than I really am.
Yeah, right.
It's an interesting way to look at it, right?
I have the same thing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And you're like, I kind of step on some toes. I try not to. I do my best, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then for line, you know, that what you're bringing into your life. So, I'm third and fifth.
So she has a hard time with reactive people.
Even
when I'm being
there's
reactive.
only one room. There's only room for one of us.
She has a hard time with me being reactive. I have the first line reactive body, and I'm like, my elbow, it's clicking, and she's like, Jonah, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. Like she wishes I were less reactive. So she's basically.
Yeah, kind of sometimes I'm like, oh.
She's mostly drawn to 3 5s, 3 6s, and 4 6s. And it's funny because
could you also
just
say
by
it
coincidence here.
I'm attracted to 3 5s?
I love 2
Because
4s.
your nodes are but not just 3 5s, also 3 6s and 4 6s, because you're attracted to the non-reactive binaries, the opportunist and the initiating binaries.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, let's hear it for Jenny. She did so much with these. Thank you. What a fun one, huh? That's really glad we got to do this. I've been wanting to do this for.
I want to add one way it resonated. It made sense of a thing that came up so much
Tell me.
in my work.
Tell
Okay,
me.
so I do custom landscape design and installation stuff, but there's all this like feeling behind it. I'm a feeling person, and I've shared the journey on Instagram, and like I talk about the projects and how they worked out, and I used to, so I would, and then I'd occasionally put out a call for helpers because I used to always hire friends. Now I only hire crews for the big installations. But I put out a call like, hey, I got a project coming up, I need help. I would get all these feeling people, and they would come out, and then halfway through the workday, start to seem like they felt victimized.
Oh no.
You don't want to do the hard work.
You're making me work. It doesn't feel good anymore.
Yeah, my former roommate, she I invited her to live with me because she was just having a farming job for 6 months. Well, she quit 2 month and a half in because she just was like, it doesn't feel good. I don't like it anymore, and I was just like, I mean, we made an agreement.
Yeah, we're success. Yeah, we're success people. We're like,
I don't want you hanging around the house during the
win.
day. I'm working, it's all messed up now, I'm like, and me being the success body, I'm like, just do it. Just do the job.
Just do the work.
Fucking roll up your sleeves.
Yeah.
But now I know that, she's designed to,
She has a different role. She's not designed to.
Yeah.
I mean, it also adds a different layer to all of this designed to work or not, because I've met projectors who are like, I work so much and I don't click with that at all. And I'm like, well, really, I think you're just not designed to work dumbly. A generator can work dumbly and I can still be happy. I can walk and just pick up the leaves and you're like, there's so much more efficient way to do that. I'm like, no, it's less efficient for me to have to think about something than to just
This is accurate.
now I'm just dumbly doing this. Okay, that's easy for me. I don't have to think. It's mechanical. There's no brain involved. It's just this thing right here. And then, but in the other cases, there's going to be. Right, there's situations where if a projector is working really smart, and if their work is orchestrating and coordinating and getting everybody else in sync and making sure that they're all having what they need and talking to each other and flowing smoothly and keeping everything oiled and all that stuff that projectors do, if that is what they're doing and they're some quad success person, it probably is correct for them to just be in the office just sending out powerhouse emails and doing all this power mover and shaker quad left stuff. And if they're quad right and they're a generator, maybe it isn't correct for them. I mean, they can work, but this is if you're quad right and you're going to be an Uber driver, make sure you have good music and incense and hopefully they get robotic cars and you can just smoke weed while the car drives you in the future. That's what the quad right needs for their, and then they get to just hang out and talk to people. So,
yeah, they don't have to worry about the survival stuff.
well, this was a lot of fun. I want to just do a little tiny thank you all. Yeah, let's just
This was
hang a little bit of
amazing.
bookkeeping. So it is Sunday. I want to remind everybody to get your books signed. Get other people to sign them. There's places for them. She made places for it.
If you didn't get a book, the books were donor art books. So if you're interested in one, you just request a $35 donation.
Yeah, exactly. You can make a donation to get it.
They weren't cheap.
These books, these are this is hard stop paper. Okay, so we do have. So unfortunately,
I think we're not going to do the wheel.
workshop